The birth of Samuel. Dear friends, today we are going into the 9th book of the 66 books in the Bible. This book is named after Samuel the prophet. The next book is also named after him. So they are divided as 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel. We have told the previous book, Ruth, was an incident that happened in the time of Judges. 1 Samuel describes the continuation of this period and the start of another period. Let's get into the book. During the time the ark of the Lord was in Shiloh, there lived a man named Elkanah in the hill country of Ephraim. He had 2 wives. One was named Hannah and the other was Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. They used to go up year by year to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord at Shiloh. Peninnah used to provoke Hannah grievously to irritate her because she had no children. This grieved Hannah. She went before the Lord and prayed and wept bitterly. She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord in her heart. Her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Eli the priest, who was sitting at the doorstep of the temple, saw her and thought that she was drunk, and he rebuked her. But when she told Eli of her condition, he blessed her. She vowed that if God gives her a son, she will give him back to the Lord, and he will be a Nazirite all the days of his life. Then she went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. The Lord remembered her, and in due time Hannah conceived and bore a son. She called his name Samuel, for she said, "I have asked for him from the Lord." When the child was weaned, she took him up to the house of the Lord in Shiloh. There they sacrificed, and went with Samuel to Eli. And Eli was old, and he could not recognize Hannah at first. But Hannah reminded him about the former things. Hannah was sure that this was the child she prayed for. As the Lord had granted her request, Hannah kept her vow and gave the boy to the Lord. Then Elkanah and his family went back to their house in Ramah. Samuel ministered to the Lord in the presence of Eli. Eli had 2 sons as priests, but they were worthless men and didn't know the Lord. When the Israelites were sacrificing an animal, while the meat was boiling, they would try to take the meat. If the Israelites did not give them what they asked for, they would take it by force, and they would take the meat before the fat burnt. Thus the sin of the young men were very great before the Lord, for the men treated the offerings of the Lord with contempt. News about his children came to Eli. Though he knew that his sons were blaspheming God and scorned the Lord's offering, he did not restrain them, and honored his sons above God. Even though Eli's sons were like this, Samuel ministered before the Lord in a linen ephod, and his mother used to make for him a little robe, and take it to him each year when she went up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. After Samuel, Hannah had 3 sons and 2 daughters. When the young man Samuel was ministering to the Lord, the word of the Lord was rare, and there were no frequent visions. The word of the Lord was rare not because God did not want to talk to man, but because there was no one ready to listen to him. In the days when Israel had no king, everyone did what was right in his own eyes, right? At that time Samuel grew in stature and favor with the Lord and also with men. Then one day God called Samuel. Not knowing it was God, Samuel ran to Eli and asked why he called him. Eli sent him back, saying that he did not call him and to go back and sleep. This repeated 3 times. The 3rd time Eli understood that the Lord was calling the boy. So he told Samuel that if the Lord calls again, to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." The Lord called again, and Samuel said as he was told. Then the Lord talked to Samuel. Thus Samuel heard the voice of the Lord for the first time. The Lord was with Samuel, and let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established as a prophet of the Lord. In the time when there were no frequent visions, the Lord appeared to Samuel again and again. Then the Israelites went out to battle against the Philistines. But the Israelites were defeated by the Philistines. The Philistines killed about 4,000 men on the battlefield. They thought that they were defeated because the ark of the Lord was not among them. So the elders of Israel brought the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts from Shiloh. The two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark. As soon as the ark of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel gave a mighty shout. Israel's trust went from the Lord of hosts to the ark of God. When the Philistines came to know this, they were a little afraid at first, but they built up their courage and fought Israel and defeated them. 30,000 Israelite foot soldiers died. The Philistines also captured the ark of God. The Israelites, who knew that God is not contained in heaven and the highest heaven, and that he does not dwell in temples made by man, believed that if the ark was with them, nobody could defeat them. When their trust moved from God to the ark, they were defeated in their battle and in the knowledge of God. Eli heard of Israel's defeat and the death of his sons. When Eli heard the ark of God was captured, he fell over backwards from his seat and broke his neck and died. Eli judged Israel 40 years, and he was 98 years old when he died. Phinehas' wife also heard this news. She was pregnant, about to give birth. When she heard that the ark of God had been captured and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she went into labor and gave birth, but was overcome by her labor pains. She named the boy Ichabod, saying that the glory had departed, because the ark of God had been captured. Then she died. We will see what happened to the ark of God which the Philistines captured in the next story. God bless you.